Hello everybody, thanks for joining me again. Today we're going to be looking at my latest pack, Vital Psytrance Volume 2. So it's pack for Vital, funnily enough. And it's 102 presets, kind of bit of everything in there, kicks, basses, atmospheres, effects, leads, pretty much everything you need really. You can make whatever you want with the pack obviously, but it's kind of aimed at more towards the darker end, but you could definitely get kind of full-on type of stuff out of it. But yeah, sort of like Night's Eye through to Forest and High Tech, etc. will probably be most suitable for this pack. Okay, so first things first, once you get the pack, you'll get a folder and there'll be a .vitalbank file in there. So you just need to open your Vital, click on this bit up here, import bank, and then find the file and import it. And then it will show up in here. So you can see Vital Psytrance Volume 1, Vital Psytrance Volume 2. Alright, so yeah, I've got a quick little demo showing off the patches here. Everything's from the pack apart from drum sounds, but the kicks are from the pack. Okay, so that's a quick little demo of the patches. So we're going to go through probably most of the patches, maybe all of them. I start by just creating two different kicks and basses. So we'll go through the kicks and basses and we'll decide on a sort of lighter one and a darker one so we can show off patches against each of those. Alright, so let's also automate the tempo quickly as well. So we'll have a slightly slower section and a slightly faster one. So a 148 and a 150. Just because they have a bit of a different feel. And in the 148 section, let's find a kick drum. Cool. So Vital Psytrance Volume 2, let's do it by name. So if you have Vital Psytrance Volume 1, you'll know there's a lot of kick drums in that one. I only did maybe like 10 or something. So not loads, but I just tried to kind of condense all my patches down to a few ones that I really like rather than including like loads and loads of patches to bloat it out. Alright, so let's find a kind of more sort of dance floor oriented one, not foresty, sort of more dancey one. Okay, so also I should mention all of these kicks, they're key tracking as well, so you know, the note that you put in for the MIDI does matter, so you can tune it from here. Yeah, this one's a bit more sort of what I'm after. Okay, so let's go with this one. And we've got a full set of macros as well. So let's quickly find a bass line to go with it, and then we'll tweak it and get it sounding good, or the way we want it. Okay, for my bass line, just going to quickly put a velocity device on it just so I can control the groove from here. And let's find a patch. I'm also going to go with maybe G. Let's have a look. So yeah, there's a mixture of basses. Some of them are really dark, some of them are much lighter. So you'll have to have a look and see what you think. And there's also some of them which are designed, mainly really designed for like eighth notes, so offbeat basses. Anyways, let's have a listen. Let's also shorten the notes. Let's go with about 75% of a 16th. So yeah, already that's actually quite nice. We've got a bunch of macros here. I'm not going to go through all the macros on all of the basses because it's going to take far too long. But some of the basses have kind of more interesting macros going on, like this one. This translate macro messes with the phases of the bass line, so you can get a kind of different feel from it. But yeah, that's quite nice. Yeah, I'm just going to quickly go and mute these risers as well. I didn't mean to have those in there. Right, yeah, let's have a little scan through. Yeah, let's shorten this kick drum as well. I can see it's bleeding over a little bit. Oh, this one's called Forest, so as you can tell, it's probably not going to really fit for the vibe we're going for this bit. So yeah, I think there's quite a relatively solid sound coming from some of these bass patches, just straight from the synth really. Honestly, I was quite surprised with what you can get Vital to do if you kind of set it up right. This one, if I remember correctly, does quite nice eighth notes. Also worth noting with kind of all the patches in this pack, look out for any velocity mappings or any mod wheel mappings that aren't necessarily obvious. Because for example on this one, if I remember correctly, the mod wheel, we can attenuate how much lows are happening. Yeah, mod wheel attenuates fundamental. So we can change how much sub there is if we really want. We've also got this first cycle knob down here, which is just only going to affect the first cycle. If I remember correctly, it's just pulling out the fundamental just for the first part of the bass. Kind of just gives a nice bit of oomph just to right at the start of the bass. I quite like the effect it has anyways. Okay, let's carry on. And this is a similar patch, just set up a bit differently. Sounds quite similar, but the kind of transient and the way the decay works is a bit different. Okay, carry on. There's a square version. Back to the normal basses now. Okay, yeah, so get control over the transient, control over the decay time, how high the sustain is, and this exponential or linear mode is just how tight the curve is on the envelope. So yeah, on this patch, the mod wheel happens to change the phase just of the fundamentals, so we can kind of really change the waveform quite a lot. And sometimes just tweaking that a little bit can get it to really fit with your kick drum. This one's a really dark one. Really, it sounds better at a lower pitch, but just so you can hear it, I'll drop it down. Yeah, so this Memento Mori one can go really quite low and still come across quite nicely, I think. Mercury, I really like this one. If it's the one I think it is. This one, again, is a really dark one. we'll have a look at the dark ones properly when we make the other little section. Again, a dark one. Okay. And this last one, Vicious Beaver 1, VB1. This is a clone of VB1. I had quite a few people asking me how you can get that kind of VB1 type saw in Vital. I'm happy to explain it separately to this, but if you do get the pack, you'll see how it's done. Anyways, but yeah, that's generally meant for the kind of more darker stuff. Anyways, I really like this Mercury one, so let's go with that. Okay, let's say we're just totally happy with that. Go and tweak the kick drum. It looks as though the pitch is about right. Maybe just tweak it slightly, see if we can get a better sort of situation. Nah, it's definitely about right. And then we'll tweak the phase, see if we can get a better relationship. Okay, I'm happy with that. Then we've got this sweep. This is... probably should do the phase last, really, because these other things are going to affect it. But yeah, this sweep knob just changes how long it takes to go through the whole spectrum. So how long the sweep is. You'll hear the effect that has now. So yeah, you can have kind of a more short punchy kick or a longer, more drawn out one. I really like how it was in the start, so we're going to keep it like that. Okay, and we've got amp style. So this is just basically, the main effect this is going to have is this going to change the kind of snap of the kick and how much mid-range presence there really is. And kind of depending on where you set this sweep knob, you're going to want to change the amp style, because maybe if it's a shorter, punchier kick, you might want a bit more of that mids. Or, you know, vice versa, whatever. Yeah, so just so you can hear the effect that has, I'll have a play around with this. I'm just going to say I'm happy with where it was. Okay. Obviously, you know, these patches are just a starting point for you to do whatever you want with them, so get it as close as you can to what you like. You know, if you do want to synthesize your kick drum, get it close as you can with the macros, and then you can just go crazy. So just in case you do want to edit it, LFO1 is controlling the pitch, LFO2 is controlling the amp envelope, or is the amp envelope, okay? Cool, yeah, and then finally we got this mid scoop, which is a EQ rather than doing it here, because where this is a key tracking patch, when we play different notes, the frequencies that are going to be affected by this dip in the amp envelope are going to be different. So I have got an EQ that affects a specific range that I think, personally, I always want to remove or have less of. So yeah, you can choose how much of that scoop is going on with this. Okay, so let's say we're happy with that. You'll notice that there is a big build-up of sub going on in this second 16th. So there's like so many ways that we can go about dealing with that. Just for the sake of this video, I'm just going to very quickly do a lazy workaround, just for the sake of the video. Yeah, just because I'm feeling lazy, and yeah, it doesn't really matter for this video. Right, cool. So let's have a look at some of the darker kicks and basses now. Let's start by finding a nice dark kick. So these ones called Chunky, I find they kind of work quite nicely for the darker styles, but where you want to use a higher note. So maybe you've got like a quite foresty tune, but it's up in A or sort of G sharp or something. These chunky ones work quite nicely, I think. And then over in kick dark and kick darker. So the kick dark, you know, standard kind of dark kick. But you can get quite a lot of different stuff out of it using the macros. And this kick darker is really just meant for sort of more faster, intense stuff. Just a little poppy kick for the higher BPMs. Okay, and then Crystal Alt or X-Tal. But yeah, Crystal. This one's kind of my favorite, I think. We've got kind of unique macro on this one. It's really just for fun, to be honest, more than something you probably actually use. But this fake fat knob, it just saturates the tail. And it can be quite fun sometimes to produce with that, because it just makes it feel a little bit more like you're at an event and it's coming out of a big speaker. Anyways, so let's stick with this kick drum. And let's find bass line to go with it. And let's go for D. Alright, and let's set the velocities up for a more foresty thing. So low velocity, high velocity, and then sort of kind of high, but a bit lower than that second one. And let's go through the darker basses. Okay, so let's go for this Obscura one. Make it a slightly shorter note. I really like these kind of muffled transients, so I'm gonna stick with that. Right, so let's have a look at some of the rest of the pack, and we'll just kind of flick between the lighter and the darker part, just so that we can kind of hear them in a sensible context. A lot of the patches will work in both, obviously some better than others though. Okay, just make sure these are playing the right notes. Okay, so I've got autoplay from Altar of Wisdom. I'm also going to get a arpeggiator, because some of the sounds will work kind of better with autoplay, some of them might sound a bit better with arpeggiator. So let's start with arpeggiator, delete any effects we've got on here. Right, so let's have a look at the lead section first. So this one is called Wibbly Wob, bit of a strange one, kind of squarey weirdness, but sometimes can be kind of cool, especially as like a part of like a grid section. Okay, so for this patch in particular, if you do want manual control over it, you can just bypass this random on the cutoff. But otherwise, yeah, you can just leave that and it'll randomize it. Texture knob. Okay, so also you'll notice in the description, it says macro 4 50% equals unity. So whenever it says this type of thing in the description, it just means that at 50%, it's doing nothing, and then either direction, so towards 0% or towards 100%, are going to do something different. So in this instance, I think it's probably reverb to the left and delay to the right. I think it's a nice way, at least, for you to get a bit more from your macros when you're automating it and stuff. You know, go from one side to another. Anyways, let's carry on. This one's called Vital Signs. Might sound a bit more in place over here. Okay, so in the description, there's a lot of stuff like this in descriptions, where different parts of macros do different things. So we can have a manual control unless we put it up to 100%. So I'm just going to put it on arpeggiator as well, so it plays a little bit more often. Okay, so that was manual control, and if we put it 100%, we get random. Viscera, so this one's kind of really growly FM type lead. Triplicant. So quite a few of the patches have this mode macro. Doesn't always do the same thing, but in a fair few cases it'll turn a lead into a squelch or a squelch into a lead, or maybe a different type of sound. As you can tell, with a bit of automation or randomization or whatever, with these macros, you can get a lot of different timbres from a fair amount of these patches. Something that will morph between a lead, a squelch, and something in between quite easily. A lot of these are going to work in like kind of any style, so just so you can hear it at a high note. Yeah, so a lot of different textures from this one are possible. Kind of more bubbly stuff, more lasery stuff, more gritty, whatever you want really. And we've also got a high pass on here as well. This one, there's two similar patches, Cuboice and Qubit, which are made based on a similar idea, but one uses noise and one uses a saw, so they have a bit of a different sound. This is the one that uses noise. So this is a texture that I really like, and it can sound really cool even if you pitch it down. So yeah, this is it at a sort of normal octave. But if you pitch it down an octave, you get those kind of, I don't really know how to describe it, but it's a really cool texture. Okay, so yeah, we got a bit of control on this patch as well, so we can choose between a kind of metallic-y type of thing. And a more kind of resonant thing. Okay, then we have a cutoff knob to control the cutoff of it. If you set it to full, it'll be random, or we can control it manually. Okay, we've got this resonator macro. You'll hear the effect it has. So yeah, it is quite a similar patch, this Qubit one, to the last one, but has quite a different texture to it. This one, PM Bro, this is a bit of a weird patch. Definitely more suited towards the darker stuff, but you know, you can do what you want with it. So this one's like largely controlled by the velocity. We can turn the velocity mode off. These Oxylim patches are quite interesting, I think, as well. So, yeah, just have a listen to this. with the mode, we can either have like a LFO controlled sweep of the wavetable, or we can have like a velocity controlled one. I'll leave it at velocity controlled because I like it to be a bit more random. If we have a look at the description as well, we can see that macro 2 at 0% is velocity control. So we'll leave that there because that's easier. And then with this texture knob, we can kind of give it some interesting texture. This is another version of it, where it's pretty much the same apart from the texture has a different effect. So with the texture knob, you can kind of turn it into a kind of smeared version of itself. This one I really like. This is just the straight Oxalin patch. Just slightly shorter notes. The last one was called Moss Effect Glass. This one's just Moss. It's a very similar patch, but when we use this mode knob, it has a bit of a different sound. This one, Little Bits. This is probably one of my favourite, or if not my favourite patch from the whole pack. It can do quite a lot, or the things that it can do I really like at least. Let's just use the arpeggiator instead of autoplay. Oh, here's a different version of that patch we just heard. So the last one has a high pass, whereas this one just has the band pass. So they get some different effects, essentially. It sounds a bit different, and macros work slightly differently. Okay, so that was all the lead patches. Let's go to the FX patches. So yeah, you'll notice there's like maybe 3 or 4 patches that can all make a somewhat similar sound. Sort of like that. It's kind of nice because you can play these one after another or even together and kind of keep that same sense or feeling of the sound, but then each of them has different macros and stuff, so you can kind of make it do a bunch of different things and also, you know, create a bit of variation in the kind of vibe that you're going for. We do have some really strange patches in here at points as well, such as this one. So yeah, this one's capable of some very, very weird textures. I particularly like making a, you know, weird section with this and then print it to audio, stretch it out and do a ton of different weird effects to it, because it's just like such a rich bit of audio it creates. actually quite a lot of control over this patch in particular. You can really change the timbre with this texture knob. You can control the cutoff, and you've also got this phaser knob where you can control whether the phaser is velocity controlled, LFO controlled, or manually controlled. So again, yeah, we've got the LFO control or the velocity control. This can be quite cool for a variety of things, really, this patch. You could use it more like a riser or something, or as a background sound, or you can just have it as part of your grid sequence or whatever. Alright, let's carry on. these Chakra Blaster patches and a couple of others have a bit of a weird kind of thing about them where they kind of repeat themselves. So if we check the description, this one says ARP it, but if we go to the regular one, it says you can hold the note. So if we hold the note, so it kind of does everything twice, and you can control how often it does it with this speed knob. And then the ones that say ARP it, they only happen once, so you need to ARP them. So yeah, you get that kind of acidy 303 type sweep with this patch. It's called Captain. You can also use it to make some really weird kind of lead type stuff. It's really up to you how you go about using it. Okay, so now we've just got the atmosphere patches to have a look at. So I'll be honest, I find Vital quite difficult to make a good atmosphere patch with, so there's only a few of them. But I'm quite happy with the ones that I ended up with. Okay, so yeah, that was a relatively quick run through of all the patches in the pack. I hope you like what you've seen. If you do, it's available on my Gumroad. And yeah, otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.